किशोर किशोरी की जय, जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा की जय, पति गोपाल लुटाई गौर सुंदर की जय। His divine grace is abundant. Swami Namaste, Namaste, our eternal Saviour, Narsinghadeva Bhagwan ki, Om Premanande. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Nayatra Narayanam Sutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayanti Shriyam Swagata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Rudiyantasa Vajrayani Vidoni Sriyasa Nishkapraneshu Bhagreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Kamashroni Bhakti Bhavati Krishna Mandiram Shri Guru Shri Tapaka Shri Guru Vaishnavascha Shri Rupa Sarjan Sagan Raghunathanvitam Sajivam Savetam Sadhutam Parijan Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padani Sagarika Shri Vishakha Namaste Narayana Kantikara Rasa Sagarika Bhukara Shubharangi Macharu Shikhanda Sukham Bhaja Krishna Vraja Rama Bhaja Krishna Nidhi Vrajaraja Sukha Radhika Sarovindu Nindimukha Mandala Vandiye Shripada Vishabhanu Vandiye Shripada Vishabhanu Vandiye Shripada Vishabhanu Jayam Vishnu Paramans Jagatshani Ashok Sri Srimati Divine Grace Vaichanal Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ji Ki Jai Brahma Mantra Gaudiya Sampradaya Acharya Guruvar Ki The Lordship Pati Pavan Nitaya Worship of Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Devi Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavi Ki Jai प्रहलाद नरसिंहदेव भगवान जय गौर प्रेमानंदे Hare Krishna. It is so nice to be back here at New Seva Kunj, Sri Kishore Kishori, and the wonderful devotees here. A lot of old faces. I would like to convey my humble obeisances unto all the listeners and my hundreds and thousands of obeisances to His Divine Grace, Isi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Parampara in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this month May in New Seva Kunj is the month celebrating Lord Narsinghadeva. And in 2 weeks' time exactly, it's Narsingha Chaturdashi, the appearance of Lord Narsingha. So Narsinghadeva Bhagwan Ki Jai. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned in chapter 4, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutana adharmasya tadatmani srijamiham paritranayam sadhunam vinashayati dushkritam dharma sanstapakaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Which basically translates as millennium after millennium I appear to eradicate irreligiosity, to eradicate the irreligious miscreants, and to establish dharma or religiosity. And also to give pleasure to the saintly persons. That is some of the goals of the Supreme Lord when He appears. But there are some hidden goals as well, or internal reasons why the Supreme Lord appears, either as Himself, as the Brajendra Nandan Krishna, the Krishna Himself, or His different incarnations. So it is mentioned in the Vedanta Sutra, the very first acronym is Janmadi Yasya. And also the Srimad Bhagavatam, the very first two words in the first verse is Janamadiyasya. Jana means the creation, Adi means the sustenance and the annihilation and everything that is there in between these processes. So there are different rasas or mellows. There are 5 rasas that are known as the primary, and there are 7 rasas that are known as the secondary rasas. The 5 primary rasas are the relationship that one can have with the Supreme Lord in a neutral relationship known as the Shant rasa. The second one is Dasya rasa, or where one can consider the Lord as the master and the devotee consider himself as a servant, servitorship. The third rasa, or the mellow, or the relationship that one can establish as per the information in the Vedic culture, is you can make the Supreme Lord your friend, Sakhya rasa. The fourth mellow, or the relationship, is one can consider the Lord himself as your own son, just like a parental love known as Vatsalya rasa. And the fifth rasa, or the fifth mellow, is the one where one can enter into a relationship of the highest sweetness, just like a lover and a beloved, or like a husband and wife, which is known as the conjugal love. These are the 5 primary rasas, or the 5 primary relationships, or the mellows. But there are 7 secondary rasas where one can have a relationship with the Lord in anger, like the demoniac personalities. There's a nice verse, anybody remembers that in the Brahma Samhita? Yam kama krodha pranayadi bhiti vatsalya moha guru gaurava sanchitya tanu ap rete govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Like Kansa, he was always thinking, he was Krishna conscious, always thinking of Krishna but in anger. Raman was always thinking of Lord Rama but in anger. So similarly, Krishna also, or his incarnations also reciprocate in that way. In the Bhagavad Gita as mentioned, ye yathamam prapadyate tamsa tathaiva bhajamiham. As one worships me, as or one behaves with me, I reciprocate in that particular way. In the other 6, meaning anger is one, in the secondary rasas, wonder, achambha, comedy, vinodapatram, chivalry, which is known as virya rasa, merciful, the kripa rasa, fear, bhai, and shock. So these are the 7 secondary rasas. Now, in order to enjoy those mellows, the Supreme Lord has to set the stage, or just like before a drama, a lot of work goes behind the sets. So, besides the reasons to save the saintly personalities and to annihilate the miscreants, one of the rasas that the Lord of Vaikuntha, Lord Narayana, who is an expansion of Krishna, wanted to taste the mellow of chivalry. So he arranged it in such a way, he asked Yogamaya. Yogamaya is that personality, or she rather is that magical, mystical power that she cast a spell on the devotees and the Lord himself to enhance the pastimes. And Mahamaya is her counterpart or her shadow that keeps us away from Krishna, makes us forget God, which is predominant and only the domain of Mahamaya is this material world. But in the spiritual world, there is Maya also, and she is known as Yogamaya. So by the power of Yogamaya, four very exalted saintly persons, known as the four Kumars, they were the sons of the original creator Lord Brahma, and they were eternally very, very like little, very cute children, but very highly learned, very scholarly. They were Brahmavadis. They understood the Vedas very nicely, and somehow or the other, they reached the gates of the spiritual kingdom known as Vaikuntha. And there, the gatekeepers, predominantly Jai and Vijay, they stopped them. Sorry, you can't go in. The four Kumaras had an argument with them and then said, look, we are already in the Vaikuntha region, in this kingdom of God. And in the kingdom of God, there is no duality. Duality means bad, good, hot, cold, etc. Where there is a distinction. Predominantly bad and good, qualified and unqualified. You have seen the duality within us. That means you, gatekeepers, are not qualified to stay in Vaikuntha. You are not qualified to stay in the kingdom of God. Therefore, we curse you for not letting us in 7 births to go back to the mortal world, rectify yourself, and then perhaps you can come back to the kingdom of God, into Vaikuntha. Both the Kumaras the gatekeepers were shocked. And in the meantime, the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, arrived. And he was extremely humble. And he asked for forgiveness. Please forgive them. If a servant makes a mistake, it is as good as the master making a mistake. So let me ask for your forgiveness, O Kumaras, O Brahmins. Please forgive them. I heard about the 7 births, elevated births in the earthly planet, but please, I want them back. Please show your mercy. So then they reduced the 7 births to 3 demoniac births. As 3 demonic. So these two, Jai and Vijay, they appeared in the first millennium known as the Satya Yuga as Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, the 2 demoniac twin brothers. This is mentioned in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, specifically chapter number 9 and 10, 8, 9 and 10, that gives, and this is actually a conversation between Naradji and Yudhishthira Maharaj. Naradji is telling the history about the different pastimes of the Supreme Lord and his extensions. So Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, they appeared in the first millennium. In the second millennium, in the Treta Yuga, the first millennium is Satya Yuga, the second millennium that follows is Treta. They appeared as Ravana and Kumbhakarna. And when Lord Ramachandra, he appeared as the incarnation. And in the third millennium, which is known as the Dwapar Yuga, they appeared as Shishupal and Dantavakra when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nanda Nandan Sri Krishna, appeared in Dwapar. Both these demons created so much havoc that the entire universe started trembling. The demigods and the denizens that lived in the upper planetary system, they started trembling. So the Lord had to do something. So he came as in the form of Varahadev. because the slightly older brother, Hiranyaksha, he had taken the entire world and due to his demoniac powers and prowess, submerged it into the ocean. And Lord Varaha came, and he, Keshavadrita Sukura Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare. He lifted the earth and he had a battle with the older brother Hiranyaksha and killed him. That made the younger brother, the younger twin, extremely angry. And because of that anger, he became so inimical to Vishnu or his incarnations that he had taken a vow. He had taken a vow to kill the Lord, to kill God, to kill Vishnu. He went into immense austerities. He sat on the Mandarachal mountain for tens of thousands of years. He stopped eating. He stopped even taking air. He started drilling his respiration. He was a very, very high-level yogi. He could control his breath and keep the prana. There are 5 life airs in our body. And the last life air, the most important, known as the pranavayu. When that leaves, then Paramatma and Atma, they both leave the body, and then the person is pronounced dead. But until and unless we can control that pranavayu, that life air, then we can still live, we can still remain alive, even though this external body or the gross body can be completely emancipated. Anthills grew over him, and he had come to the point where it was just bones, but he still had his soul and his pranavayu intact. So much control. He did this to appease Lord Brahma, the first created being. Lord Brahma appeared and said, "Stop. Enough. What is it that you want?" He says, "I want to be eternal." That is the demoniac propensity. That is the most surprising thing in the world. During Mahabharata, in the 13th year, known as the Agyatva Varsh, the 5 Pandavas were in hiding. And if anybody caught them and recognized them, then they would have to go into exile another 13 years. So they went into the deepest jungles, trying to stay away from everybody and anybody in the last year. And they went into a part of a deep forest where there was no water, no food. They all the 5 brothers sat down exhausted under a tree. Probably for a long time they did not have any water. Yudhishthira Maharaj suspected that in that direction I hear some water, like a stream. Can you go check it out? And he sends out his brother Nakul. Nakul goes there. When he sees, lo and behold, a beautiful crystal clear spring, a body of water, he immediately tries to quench his thirst by taking water in his palm, and he's just about to sip. And there is a sound in the firmament. Stop. Don't drink this water. If you drink this water, it will become poison, and you will certainly die. He perhaps did not have faith in that, and he was very thirsty. A thirsty and a hungry man cannot think well, or cannot even heed warnings. He sipped that water, and instantly he died. That water had indeed turned into a very grey poison. He did not come back. He sent his second brother, Sahdev, same situation. Then went Arjun, Bhima, all 4 brothers did not come back. Finally, he gathered some strength and he headed in that direction. And he was extremely thirsty as well, and he saw the body of water there, crystal clear, but his 4 brothers lay dead. By the way, this particular place is in Brajmandal, in Kamyavan. If you go to Vrindavan and when you're doing parikrama, that particular lake, it is called the Pancha Pandav Sthali. So, When Yudhishthira Maharaj heard that warning when he was about to sip that water, he said, answer my questions, and if you don't answer them, this will become poison and you will certainly die. So he was very patient, Yudhishthira Maharaj. He said, okay, go ahead and ask me. And there were 100 such questions. And it is said that many, many great kings and personalities who had passed through that forest and in search of water, when they came to that water hole or that lake, they were even asked these questions and they could not answer it, and they all died. The water turned into poison for them. 100 questions. Yudhishthira Maharaj answered them perfectly. 99. And the 100th question came, what is the most surprising thing in this world? What is the most amazing thing in this world? That was the question. Yudhishthira Maharaj says, Ahani ahani bhutani gacchanti yamalayam seshah sthavram ichhati yata ascharam kim param. Meaning, slowly, every day I'm seeing that somebody or the other that I know is succumbing to death. They are dying. But the rest of us who are alive, we just buried somebody or we just cremated somebody, we think we are eternal. Because our consciousness is such that everybody else will die, but I will not die, based on our everyday activities and our consciousness. That is indeed the most surprising thing in this world. He was so pleased. Actually, he was being tested by his own father, Dharmaraj. And he then revived his other 4 brothers. So demoniac persons, they think that everybody is going to live forever in this material world. And that is the reason he told Lord Brahma, Hiranyakashipu, give me eternality. You are very powerful. Bless me with eternality. He says, that's not possible. This is the material world. Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha dosha anudarshanam. Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita. Even that applies on me, although I am in the highest heavenly planet and my lifespan is billions of years, but at the end of billions of years, even I have to die. So that's not possible. So then he started circumventing, as you all know, the pastime. Sometimes hearing the pastimes of the Supreme Lord is very, very refreshing. The gopis say that in the Bhagavatam, in the Gopi Geet, verse number 9, Tava kathambritam tapta jivanam kavi viriditam kalmashapaham shravana mangalam srimadatam bhuvi grinanti je bhuri dajana. O Krishna, or Krishna's incarnations, Tava katha amrit. Your pastimes, listening to your pastimes is bringing us to deathlessness. Mrit means death and Amrit means the opposite. Tapta jivanam kavi viriditam. This material world is full of different kinds of miseries that we go through. Miseries that are inflicted by our own body, inflicted by others, inflicted by natural catastrophes, adhyatmic, adibhotik, and adidaivik kleshas. So there is no escaping that. But when we hear the pastimes of Krishna, even though it is 1,000,000 times, it is ever refreshing. So Lord Brahma was trying to trick, because he was demoniac. Okay, then you give me a benediction that I should not be killed by any demigod, by any human being, by any animal. I should not be killed on the land. I should not be killed in the water. I should not be killed in the skies. I shall not be killed in my palace. I shall not be killed by anything living. I shall not be killed by anything dead. I shall not be killed by any weapon. Please grant me that benediction. Lord Brahma reluctantly granted that. Tatha astu. So be it. And then he thought he became so invincible that he created so much havoc in the entire 3 worlds, the heavenly planets, the earthly planet, and also the hellish planets, that everybody used to shiver. The moment Hiranyakashipu raised his eyebrow and he simply laughed in sarcasm, ha ha ha! The demigods in the heavenly planets would suddenly go into hiding. They would leave their thrones. Now what? Now what? Now what? What would be the next catastrophe that we will be facing? In the meantime, his wife was pregnant during all these, after becoming so invincible after the blessings of Lord Brahma or the benediction that were reluctantly given. His wife Kayadu was pregnant. And Indra, the king of heaven, he had a meeting with all the other demigods and said, look, another demon is going to be born. His father Hiranyakashipu is so powerful. Can you imagine what the son will be like? Let us do something about it. So Indra decided to kidnap Hiranyakashipu's wife Kayadu. And when she was as en route being kidnapped and being taken into the heavenly skies, at that time, a very predominant acharya, Naradji, appeared and says, Indra, what are you doing? This does not suit you. She is a woman. She is pregnant and you're taking her away from her husband. But Indra said, Naradji, you can see the past, present, and future. He is the son of the most dangerous terrorist demon. There's a saying in Hindi, those who are na rahegi baas, na bajegi bansuri. If there is no bamboo, then there will be no flute. So let's just get rid of this child to be born. Naradji says, Indra, you just said that I know the past, present, and future, right? He says, yes, Maharaj, that I tell you that he's not going to be a demon. As a matter of fact, he's going to be the purest devotee. Kayadu, then he lets go. That is the difference between demons, who are known as asuras, and suras, who are known as the demigods. Even sometimes they get delusion, but when they are given proper guidance, they listen. But a demoniac person, when even guided properly, based on scripture or saintly persons, they will never listen. So Indra immediately said, okay, Naradji, I will let her go. Kayadu said, I have been kidnapped. Now my husband will never accept me. He will kill me, and even the unborn child that is in my womb, he will be killed also. Naradji, I take your shelter. Please. So Naradji takes Kayadu, Mother Kayadu, to his ashram. And what happens there? Naradji is the foremost, most learned personality in bhakti. He spoke Srimad Bhagavatam every day. And the child was listening. Srimad Bhagavatam is the holy scripture. And the child was listening. And that is the reason in the Vedic culture we have Garbhadan Sanskar. A woman who is pregnant should always eat very sattvic foods, prasadam. Sattvic means in the mode of goodness. Associate with devotees, read something that is spiritual. So that when the child is born, it will have the effect on that child. So Naradji initiated Prahlad in the womb of Kayadu. Naradji is a very powerful acharya or a saintly person. He is the guru of Prahlad. He is the guru of Dhruv Maharaj. He is the guru of Valmiki. He is the guru of Vyasdev. Such great personalities. Eventually, she goes back to her home Hiranyakashipu reluctantly accepts her, but he was happy that a baby boy was born. And as the little baby from infancy started growing up a little bit, he was admitted in school. And in school, the kid, just like other kids, they play. And during the playtime, he used to preach about the Supreme Lord. He used to speak about Sri Hari, eulogizing the Supreme Lord, the glories, and all the kids were listening. When the news came to his father, you are actually praising my enemy. And he warns the teachers, Sandarka and Amarka, they were the teachers of Prahlad. You better make him a good demon. You teach him all the demon vidya, or the knowledge of how to become a good demon. And if you don't, then your heads are mine. He sent them with those warnings. But Prahlad would not listen. He would continue preaching Krishna consciousness. And then they would even beg, look, your father will kill us. Please become a good demon. That is what they prayed to him. And Prahlad used to preach. There's so many wonderful verses. Time is of the essence. One of the important verses while he was in school that I can recollect is Kaumaram acharat pragyah dharman bhagavata iha durlabham manushya deha tadapi artadam adhruma. We should take to this process of spirituality, of Krishna consciousness, or the Bhagavad Dharma, from this tender age of 4 or 5 years, which is known as Kaumar. Dharman Bhagavatiya. Why? Because Durlabham Manushya Deha, because this human form of life is extremely rare. Not guaranteed that the next birth can be human. If we have lived an animalistic life, or we have not performed any kind of piety or bhakti, devotional service, we can be given a birth into the 8,400,000 species that are there in the creation. Durlabham Manushya Deha, Tadapi Arthadam Adhruvam. And in this human body, we can attain the highest goal. Somebody can say that what's so great, even the human body is temporary. It is adhruvam. Dhruva means permanent, and adhruva means temporary. But he said, in spite of it being temporary, tadapi arthadam, we can get arthadam means the highest consciousness. Although this human body is temporary in nature. Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry. He sent so many demoniac forces. He's my enemy, his own son. Tried to kill him torture him in various ways. He tried to trample him under an elephant. But Prahlad had such great faith. Sri Hari, Sri Hari. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord. And when the wild elephant was trampling and putting the foot on the tummy of Prahlad, it felt like it was roses or a soft pillow. He was thrown into a pit, a dark well that was dry, full of venomous snakes. But he survived. He chanted the names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Many dubious, pitiless ways were used through his demonic. He even told his own sister that, you remember the Holika, you have a benediction that you will never burn into fire. Take this little child. You are his aunt. He will come and sit with you and we'll light a huge bonfire. And then you take him on your lap and we'll surround you in the blazing fire. Prahlad will burn alive, but you will be saved because you have that benediction that fire cannot burn you. In fact, what happened? The opposite happened. Holika got burned, and that is one of the reasons in the Vedic culture on the day of Holi, which is the same day as Gaur Purnima, or the prior night, I would say, they burn a lot of woods and logs representing the victory of good over evil. And many, many methods were implied. Finally, everything failed then. Hiranyakashipu said that where are you getting all this strength from? Where are you getting all this power from to preach? You're speaking about my enemy. Aren't you afraid of me? I'm so powerful. I have the strength of 10,000 elephants. Everybody in the 3 worlds or the 14 planetary systems is shivering just by hearing my name. Aren't you afraid? Prahlad Maharaj says, my dear father, best of the demons. That's how he addresses him. I'm getting the strength from the same place where you are getting the strength. Sri Hari is my source. I see. Now let me see if he can save you, because I am about to kill you. Where is your Hari? I want to see him. If he is going to be able to save you. And Prahlad Maharaj says, Sri Hari is everywhere. Even in English we say, what is the definition of God? He is omnipresent, he is omnipotent, and he is omniscient. So omnipresence means he is present everywhere. And in Sanskrit, the word for omnipresence is Vishnu. The word Vishnu, when we translate that into English, means the Supreme Lord who is present everywhere. He's present everywhere. Oh, is he protecting you? Going to protect you? Is he in this big pillar? And Hiranyakashipu had a huge palace, and a huge pillar was right in front of him. Yes, my Lord is present even in this pillar. Then let me take care of your Lord. Let me kill him. And he struck the pillar with his mace. And when he struck the pillar, an amazing thing happened. The firmament started becoming dark. There were dark clouds and there was lightning. And the jackals were crying. The elephants and powerful animals started passing urine and stool. The sound was so tumultuous. And out came an amazing personality. Tavakara Kamala Vare Nakama Bhuta Shringa. Adbhut, something that has not been ever experienced. Out came out a half man and a half lion personality. When he roared and his mane, the lion's mane was flying in the air, it is said that all the different demigods that had assembled to see their aeroplanes were thrown far because of the gust of winds that blew the mane of Lord Narsinghadeva. Lord Narsinghadeva has many forms. There is the form where he is very peaceful. But this form was known as Ugra Narsingha. Ugra Narsingha is the most ferocious form that one can ever find in creation. In the incarnations of the Lord himself, nobody has gotten so angry, because such a small 4 or 5-year-old boy had to go through so much. His devotee, his own father, did not want to spare him. And Lord Narsinghadeva appeared at about midday. At midday. So now what happens? First of all, Hiranyakashipu is shocked. He thought, what kind of a demigod this is? Doesn't look like a demigod. This doesn't look like an animal. I have never seen anything like this. For a couple moments, he was taken aback and he was in shock. And then he came back to his senses and he started fighting. He took his mace and he took his sword and he took all the different weapons that he had and started fighting with Narsinghadeva. And Narsinghadeva simply had a wonderful wrestling match. So his desire of Virya Ras, which is the 7th or the secondary rasas of Virya, which I had mentioned earlier, was fulfilled there. Because in Vaikuntha, if Krishna or Narayana or Vishnu says, I would like to fight with you, there is awe and reverence. Who would want to fight with their boss? Nobody would want to. But he wanted, his arms and his hands and his muscles were itching to express that Virya Rasa. So like that, he comes into different forms. Even he came as Lord Ramachandra to express his Virya Rasa. And he came as, and he wanted tougher and tougher adversaries. And Hiranyakashipu was an amazing adversary. They fought and fought and fought. And he threw many blows. And he also had many, many demons, his aides, coming towards him. But Lord Narsinghadeva, in his most ferocious form, he threw them. And then when it was just about twilight, like we have it right now, it is known as the Trikal Sandhya. There are 3 Sandhyas. First Sandhya is early morning, when the sun is just about to rise. From night, it becomes day. That's the first Sandhya. The second Sandhya is when the day turns into afternoon, so about midday. And the third Sandhya is when the day is going to come to an end and night is going to set in. That time it's twilight. And that's why those who have taken Brahmin initiation, they chant 3 Gayatris, and that is the perfect time for chanting. Of course, some of us who are involved in Seva, then it can be adjusted. And it is during these 3 Sandhyas we are supposed to take a bath. That is the proper way. Do the Achaman and then do the Gayatri. And even in the Mangala Arati, in the last verse, Dhayans Tuvams Yashastri Sandhya Vande Guru Shri Charnari. So we remember our Acharyas minimum 3 times a day in our Gayatri. And those who are second initiated, we know that there are 2 Guru Gayatris that are there. One is the Krishna or the Surya Gayatri, the other 2 are Guru Gayatris, the other 2 are Gauranga Mahaprabhu's Gayatris, and the other 2 are the Gayatris of Krishna and Vraja, along with the Gopis. So anyways, so at the exact time, during the fighting, he takes him to the doorstep of the palace or the threshold. And just when it is twilight, Hiranyakashipu is simply taken on the threshold. Narsinghadeva Bhagavan sits, puts Hiranyakashipu on his lap, takes out his nails and he tears apart. He first takes his heart out. Then he tears his intestines. And those intestines are wrapped around him like a Brahminical thread on Narsinghadeva. And he tears him apart. Tamakara Kamanavare Nakam Adbhuta Sringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringam. He gave him the chance to fight for about 6.5 hours. And he also satisfied his rasa of chivalry or Virya Rasa. But now it was time. Because of the benediction of Lord Brahma, I shall not die during the day or night. I shall not die in my palace or outside my palace, not in land or water or in the sky. Perfect place, the threshold. On the lap of Narsinghadeva, it is not the earth, it's not the land, it's not the water. He's not in his palace, not outside. He's not being killed by any human being because this is an amazing form, half man, half lion. He's not a demigod. He's not being killed by any weapons, but he's getting killed by his nails. And he had asked for this one benediction, I should not be killed by anything living nor but anything dead. So there are 2 things in our body that can be considered under that category, our hair and our nails. They are neither living, neither dead. We can see that even if a dead body, the mummies that are preserved in the pyramids, we find that their hairs are still intact. We find, and even the nails and even the teeth, etc. Some of the body parts. Tanu Bringa. Bringa means a small fruit fly. We have noticed that sometimes when we have a very nice sweet banana or some mango in the house and it's just overripened, we find that little fruit flies sit and you try to remove them, just by your touch they will die. Tanu bring down, just like a small little wasp, a little fruit fly, he was killed. Keshavadrita Narhari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Re. This particular verse in the Narsingha Arti comes from Jaidev Goswami. In the Dasa Avatar Stotram, Pralaya Pralaya Di Jale, Mahamshavedam, Keshavadrita, the 4th incarnation of the, so we see them, the 10 incarnations, they're right there on top. So when you leave, you all can have darshan. So Lord Narsinghadeva is right there. Keshavadrita, number 4, from left to right, on those paintings on the wall. Sorry? Yes, of course. I was going to come to that picture as well. But I was talking about the 10 avatars. So those 10 avatars are right there. Thank you. So anyways, when he appeared and when he tore apart Narsinghadeva, all the demigods, they showered flowers. They were all very happy to see that scene, but nobody could come forward because he was very angry. That is Ugra Narsinghadeva. Ugra means extremely angry. Even the demigods in the heavens, they were so scared. They approached Lord Brahma, do something. Already Hiranyakashipu is killed. His associates have been killed. Can you pacify Narsinghadeva? Please. The Lord Brahma said, no, I cannot. Let's go to Lakshmi Devi, his consort. They go to Lakshmi Devi and Lakshmi Devi, please. Please pacify your husband. Lakshmi Devi says, no way. I've never seen him with such great anger. It is impossible for me. I've never seen him, and I'm so scared to even approach him in such a mood. So what does Lord Brahma do? Lord Brahma tells Prahlad, you have such great faith in him. You are the devotee. Because of you, he has come in this form. You go ahead and pacify him. And Prahlad Maharaj goes forward with that garland, and that is the picture that we find that he is trying to pacify Lord Narsinghadeva, because everybody's still shivering and everybody's scared. Even after killing the demon Hiranyakashipu, he is not pacified. He's still angry. And that is the reason, as a side note, when we sing our Narsingha Arati, generally I see a lot of them, I've heard, Jai Lakshmi Narsingha. That is the Rasa Atas. Lakshmi Narsingha is a different Narsingadev, and when we are praying as the protector, then it is Prahlad Narsingha. And that is why when we even say those prayers from the Narsingha Kavach, Ugram Viram Mahavishnam Jalantam Sarvatomukam Narsingham Bhishnam Bhadram Mrityu Namamiyam. That is, we are praying to that Narsingadev who appeared, who killed Hiranyakashipu, and in that great moment of anger, that is called Ugra Narsingha. Ugra, most angry for the protection of his devotee. So he can even drive away death personified. That is the meaning of this verse, Ugram Viram Mahavishnu. Jalantam Sarvatomukam, his mouth is fiery due to anger. Narsingham Bhishnam Bhadram Mrityu Namami. I offer my obeisances to Narsinghadeva. When Prahlad Maharaj approached him, at that time Narsinghadeva Bhagwan, he became very shant. He became mellow, and he picked up Prahlad and put him on his lap. He put him on his lap and he kissed his forehead, and he started caressing his head. And again started kissing Prahlad Maharaj on his head, expressing a fatherly or a grandfatherly love for his devotee Prahlad. And at that time he tells him, Prahlad, I'm so pleased with you, with your devotion, with your faith in me. Ask me for a benediction. I think if he's going to distract, then I would humbly ask you to, thank you. Because time is of the essence, Mataji. Thank you so much. Sorry, I didn't mean to. So he says, you asked me a benediction. I'm so pleased with your bhakti, with your devotion. I want to give you a boon. Prahlad Maharaj says, what is there in this material world to ask? My father, the king of demons, had everything. His name is Hiranyakashipu. Hiranya means gold, wealth, it represents, and Kashipu means soft bed, silken clothes, all kinds of sense gratification available. He had everything. When he laughed sarcastically or raised his eyebrow, all the demigods, they shivered and the denizens, they shivered in the heavenly planets. But you killed them just like a little wasp. Kavakara Kamala Vare Nakama Buddha Sringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringam, just like a little wasp. He had all the comforts. What is there in this material world? Narsinghadeva Bhagwan says, but I'm pleased with you, Prahlad. Please ask me. Ask me because it will please me. And that is the devotee. A true pure devotee is one who never asks anything for the self. And even there are similar occasions when Naradji asked Dwarkadish in Dwarka, and the forms of Lord Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra were promised and manifest. At that time, Krishna asked Naradji, ask me something, I'm very pleased. Narad said, I don't want anything. But to please me, ask something. It will please me. That is pure bhakti. Anya vilashita shunya jnana karma navritam anukulina Krishna anushilanam tad bhakti uttam. Naradji, and then later on inculcated by Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasam Sindhu. We should not have, if we want really pure devotion, then we should not even have a tinge, zero. Anya abhilashita, all material desires should be zero. Anya abhilashita shunya. Shunya means zero. Jnana karma anavritam. It should be bereft of even knowledge and even karma. These are subject matters that is very well explained in the Bhagavad Gita, the fundamentals. These are the negations. Then what does Naradji and Rupa Goswami say? What is the positive thing? Anukulyena Krishna Shilanam Tad Bhakti Uttam. Whatever pleases Krishna, that is Uttam Bhakti. So Narsinghadeva says, it will please me, ask me a benediction. So Prahlad Maharaj says, yes, because it will please you, I will ask you a benediction. And the benediction that I'm asking is that my father was a demon, please save him, please, purify him. That is the Vaishnava. No matter how much infliction and pain somebody can give us, but a Vaishnava's heart is so pure, it is always thinking about the other. Surat Sarva Bhutan as the qualities of Krishna. He's always a well-wisher of all. Narsinghadeva Bhagavan said, Prahlad, there's no need to ask that. Not only your father has been purified, but 21 generations of yours will be delivered and purified because of you, because you are my devotee. That is pure devotion. If we really, some people ask us these questions that, I'm trying to be Krishna conscious, or I am Krishna conscious, but my family is not, they are becoming impediments, etc. We hear all these stories, don't we? So doesn't matter. Let us become good devotees. Let us please His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Let us become devotees good, and automatically Krishna will take care of the people who we love, our family, whether they are Krishna conscious or not. We try our best, but we can't force anybody. She says, so ask me a benediction, because this is already. So Prahlad Maharaj says, my dear Lord, you're offering me Vaikuntha, you're offering me liberation, but I do not need that. This is a very high prayer. And you're offering me this, but I do not want to go to Vaikuntha. I want to stay here and serve my spiritual master Naradji. I want to serve my spiritual master Naradji, because there are so many persons in this material world that are in need of God consciousness, that are in need of Krishna consciousness. And I want to be an instrument in assisting my Guru Maharaj, Naradji. That was his benediction that he asked Narsinghadeva. So I conclude there are many good teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. Actually, I brought some, but I did not read them. Because time is always, I took some verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. But the essence is, pure devotion is to please the Guru and please Krishna. Sometimes, we have this general sentiment, which is not bad. It is a good thing, that going back to Godhead. If we ask, what's our goal? Our goal is, going back to Godhead. It's okay. It's a good goal. But a better goal is what Prahlad Maharaj is saying. My dear Krishna, my dear Kishore Kishori, please give me that eternal service to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Even if I have to stay here for eons and eons, I would like to serve Him. Because many people are in need of Krishna consciousness. We all got a gift from some Vaishnava. Why not give it to others? Because there is a sting of selfishness when we say that we want to go home back to God. This is the bhava Prahlad. So thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Prahlad and Narsinghadeva Bhagwan ki. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for the class. So we have our Prasadam. So one more round of applause for him, please. So we have Prasadam boxes serving outside. We'll have tea at 7 o'clock.